Foods, and happy to report that Dandy has some brand new goodies, and they're only available at select Gate stores around town. 5 delicious new breakfast items to start your day off right. Fresh buttermilk biscuits, flaky croissants, French toast, maple waffles, all matched up with country sausage, ham, or bacon, fried eggs, and cheddar cheese. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, so go out and make yours a Dandy just a little bit earlier tomorrow.
Got that hometown flavor creeping up on you, yeah.
Did you know that weight loss surgery is the most effective solution for obesity, according to the National Institutes of Health? If you've tried everything and you're still struggling with weight loss, a procedure at Baptist Health could be your solution. Our personalized program is a center of excellence with a full team to support you every step of the way. Is it time to reclaim your health? To see if you qualify, call 904-202-SLIM or visit BaptistBariatrics.com.
Higgin here. Guess what July is? National Carpet Cleaning Month. For home carpet cleaning, Zero Res offering $49 per room. And for businesses, they're offering 20% off in July. Zero Res, man. Spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm that has experience and capabilities to handle any legal issue a business is confronted with. Learn more about what they can do for you at jimersonfirm.com.
Here's your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. I'm Sam Nelson. Florida football was picked to finish 5th in the SEC East and had 3 players make the All-SEC third team in the conference annual preseason media poll. Running back Trevor Etienne made the All-SEC third team offense. Jason Marshall Jr. and defensive end Priestley Umalending each earned all third team defensive honors. The Jacksonville Sharks continue their surge in the National Arena League by dominating the West Texas Warbirds 70-25. The next home game for the Sharks will be a playoff game that takes place on August 5th at 5-Star Veterans Memorial Arena. The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp used a 6-run third inning to lift them over the Nashville Sounds 9-5 on Sunday for a series split. Jacksonville returns home to 121 Financial Ballpark to begin a 6-game series with the Gwinnett Stripers starting Tuesday. That's your 1010XL local sports update. I'm Sam Nelson for 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
At 10:01, it's 82 degrees. Time and Temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Last year's last year, and you just have to keep reiterating the point. Like, I've said this in here before. It's it's a new team, it's a new season. We got to start over, and that's got to be the mentality. It's great what we did, but we haven't done anything in 23. We haven't played a football game yet.
It just really feels like, for the first time in my 20 years, that not only the needle pointed up, but like way up, straight up. Like this thing jumping about, like they were about to jump on a rocket bound for the moon. And I just feel like that's where this team is headed.
So I think Trevor's going to win the MVP. I think Trevor's going to have an unbelievable season for a team that's going to win a lot of games against bad football teams.
Shotgun for Trevor. He drops. He looks. Fires left side of us. Caught! 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 Zay Jones catches it! The two-point conversion is good! Jacksonville has taken the lead! How good is that?
I would say Tank Bigsby. I think he'll be the rookie that the nation kind of wakes up on.
Bigsby runs the opposite way and finds a crease. Inside the 30, with a cutback. Breaks a tackle. Inside the 10. Goal line! Touchdown!
We've done all the work. The city's growing. The Jaguars are ascending. We have, new leadership in the mayor's office. Now is Jacksonville's time.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and
Hold my pocket!
Dylan Denmark.
All right, wait for it. Fresh week opening up here on Jaguars Today. Tony's back.
Fresh season opening up.
Oh, man, it's almost here. It's almost upon us. Jags are reporting, and they'll be on the practice field in a couple of days. Tony is back from his grueling assignment. How was the assignment?
The assignment was good.
It went well.
It turned up the heat, didn't it? Man, it's been hot for a while, but last week was ridiculous.
I played 27 holes on Friday. It was actual temperature of 98.
Yeah.
It was like 110.
Yeah.
I did well in the weight loss program on Friday, I'll tell you that.
A bunch of those, like 106, 108, feels like days.
Yep, we had those. And, hey, so you say you want to live in Florida. There you go. That's part of the deal. We're getting a lot of rain lately as well, which can be good or can mess up my golf game, but that's all right. I know you went to see Oppenheimer.
I did.
When you were gone. Give me a quick I saw it as well. I liked it. What were your thoughts?
I liked it. It's weird for me. It may be, honestly, my least favorite Christopher Nolan movie. When everything is said, that doesn't mean that I didn't like it, because I do think Nolan's movies are incredible.
I saw a site that rated it his greatest accomplishment in cinema.
I see a bunch of people talking about it that way. It just didn't hit me that way. I think it may have been affected by, I've read 3 books in the last 4 months that were about the Manhattan Project or Oppenheimer himself, like that kind of thing. And so nothing about it was new to me. I mean, nothing about it was new to me. It was just a bunch of information that I've read here in the last 4 or 5 months, which is fine. It's a biopic about Robert Oppenheimer. So it's fine, but it didn't hit me the same way all the other Nolan stuff I've seen did.
Tony Smith, noted Manhattan Project scholar, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
All right, I saw it. I didn't see Barbie, although I would see Barbie. But my son saw the double feature, the Barbenheimer. He did. I was working on Saturday. This is how much he likes Christopher Nolan. He and a friend went to see Barbie and Oppenheimer. Then I did a show on Sirius XM, got done at 7 o'clock. We went to see Oppenheimer again.
Oh, wow.
So he had 8 hours in the movies on Saturday.
Yeah,
and,
it's a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, he liked them both. They're just vastly different. Anyway,
yes,
that was
I would
our
imagine
weekend.
so, yeah.
I would imagine. Like, I haven't seen the Barbie movie, but I can only.
I doubt there's a nuclear explosion.
There may be. You never know. You never know. Yeah. Malibu Barbie, Anyway, all right, so Jags on the practice field in a couple of days. Tony is back, so we'll talk about all the storylines we need to know about heading into this. Chris Claybrooks gets in trouble again.
Goodness, yeah.
Another arrest, and again, innocent until proven guilty. But, man, that's not a great look to have 2, domestic violence charges. And we talked about it the first time, Tony. I'm not saying any kind of domestic violence is good, but the first incident was him apparently, like, snatching a cell phone from somebody's hand.
Yeah.
Which I do draw a big distinction between that and, striking somebody in the face, right? I mean, but this time arrested and booked for misdemeanor domestic battery and false imprisonment. And the false imprisonment I saw could be a felony charge.
Mm-hmm.
So don't know what's going to go down with him. Jags are aware of it, letting the legal process play itself out right now. But that is one of the areas of the team that you can look at and say, all right, I feel okay about the starting pair of corners. Trey Hernan's got some experience as the nickel guy. That doesn't mean he's been a great player, but I think most people agree that you know who your starting trio is when you're playing in a nickel set for the Jags. But I think depth at corner is one of the big question marks on this team.
For sure, and they got all that money to spend, and especially after getting the Ingram deal done, right? So they do have some money that they can spend this year on something. I wouldn't be surprised if it does get spent on corner, depending on how they feel about some of these guys early on in camp, right? Because you look at the back end of the depth chart where you got Tyson Campbell and Darius Williams. Trey Herndon look like your 3 starters at corner. I looked at the snap numbers for Chris Claybrooks last year. He played 4% of the defensive snaps for the Jags. So even as the 4th corner or whatever you thought he was last year, basically didn't play.
Right.
For the football team last year. Now you have all this off-the-field stuff going on top of that, entering the final year of his deal right here in Jacksonville. So I think his roster spot is probably in pretty big jeopardy at this point with everything else that's going on. But behind him, it's just a bunch of young guys that you don't know what they are.
Right, you got
yet.
4 corners on this team they drafted in the last 2 drafts.
Yeah. And I don't think that they're going to be going out and signing somebody to be the starter for them at any of those 3 spots. But I wouldn't be surprised if they aren't looking at least at some of the guys that around the league when we get deeper into the training camp and all these things, when cuts start happening. I wouldn't be surprised if they're looking at those cuts and if they don't bring in a guy to be the 4th, 5th corner for this football team that right now isn't even on the roster. And I don't think Claybrook's spot right now on the roster is very solid at all. I don't think it was before all this other stuff was going on. Now it's even more in jeopardy than it was.
Yeah, now keeping in mind, the first incident that he had, charges were dropped in that. They were. But he has, now had his name associated with domestic violence of some kind a couple of times. And again, that's what the legal system is for. I don't know if you can really hold that first incident against him at all, other than you're worried about a little bit of a pattern here, but the charges were dropped the first time around. Yeah. So, again, we don't know any more than really we've just mentioned. So we'll see how that all plays out. But it's something to keep an eye on. I think corner depth, as we mentioned, could be an area of concern for this football team. And today, that's basically what we're asking you. The Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day are, which are the three biggest questions that you still have remaining about this Jaguars team? And there were a couple of think pieces out there, one at CBS Sports that did basically that on Friday. Just said the three questions for every AFC South team, and they've been doing it division by division. But ESPN also did a piece over the weekend that has the biggest question for everybody out there. So we're asking you as Jaguar fans, what are the three questions you still have, the biggest ones still remaining as training camp gets ready to open up in a couple of days? And you can bring that to the table here in a variety of ways today at 641-1010 on the phone lines or the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, or hit us up on Twitter at MD_1010XL, at 1010XL Fat Tony, at 1010XL Denmark, or am I allowed to say hit us up on Twitter? X us? I mean, it's so stupid. It's like nobody – I thought people were leaving Twitter yesterday for a brand new social media platform. Everyone is announcing, I'm going to X. I'm like, what is X? You're not going anywhere. You're staying here. And X is – Twitter is becoming X or something along those lines. Did you like what I did with the studio while you were gone?
It is different, yeah.
It's different. I'm not – yeah.
It's a lot of work. I appreciate it.
Well, it's kind of like I told Jeff and Dan, anytime a website changes its format at all, I hate it initially because I get used to stuff. So I'm sure this will grow on me at some point in time. Hey, Coach Pockets, how was your weekend? Everything good with you?
We good. We played some golf yesterday and got a little bit of rain, but we finished it out. We played all 18.
That's good. So thunderous, lightning-filled weekend at times on the golf courses. So, all right, we're ready to roll. We got Johnny O swinging by today, the senior writer from Jaguars.com. Give a little preview of training camp coming up. First practice here now will be well underway 48 hours from now. Hope to see a bunch of you out there. We're not going to be broadcasting, it doesn't look like, from a lot of these training camp practices, but we'll be out there as much as we possibly can between the two of us, just taking it in and bringing you a lot of firsthand reports of what folks see in practice, at least what they're allowed to talk about going forward. But we'll talk about that with John today, what he anticipates, what are some of the questions he thinks the Jags still have remaining hanging out there. Tony is back. That is not a question. And with Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark, I'm Mike Dempsey, kicking off a fresh week. Keep it right here on Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today Monday is brought to you by Ratify Credit Union on 1010XL.
Jaguars Today from the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Studios.
JOI, where the pros go.
Did you know that all graduates of Local 234's apprenticeship program are licensed journeymen? That means all plumbers, pipe fitters, welders, and HVAC techs will have hundreds of hours of experience and have passed the Jacksonville City Licensed Journeyman exam. They're the best trained and safest skilled tradespeople in the industry. Don't leave yourself exposed to inadequate workmanship or even danger. Always hire a licensed journeyman. Local 234. Make the right connection. Equal opportunity employer.
It's a Gator Town. It's a Jag Town. It's our hometown. 1010XL, home of the Gators and Jaguars.
Listen for the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Rehabilitation House Call in the Frangie Show this Friday. They'll tell you about their new Atlantic Rehab location and how to lessen the chance of heat exhaustion. JOI, where the pros go.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about not being afraid of the crosses of life. Life can be difficult. Maybe today you're carrying a cross of worry or stress.
Let me encourage you to remember that when Christ got on the big cross at Golgotha, he destroyed all the little crosses that we face in our life. He set us free from fear, worry, and anxiety. Our job is not to be carried by the cross, but to be carried by our faith.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
If your lawn is not as green as you'd like, it's time to go orange by calling Orange Environmental Services, Jacksonville's highest quality pest control for over 45 years. Frank Frangie here. I've trusted Orange Environmental to take care of our home's pest control needs for years. With the Orange Shield Protection Plan for your home or office, you can relax knowing Orange Environmental will handle pest control, termite control, and mosquito control. Orange Environmental has been giving Northeast Florida peace of mind from bug problems since 1972. Call them today at 272-3284.
Mystic Cornhole Company is on the move. The store where excitement meets excellence is relocating this month to the corner of Hogan and Parental Home Road. And you can always find them online at mysticcornhole.com.
Life a little expensive right now? If you need cash, Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach is ready to buy. Gold, silver coins, and flatware, guitars and guns. Beaches Jewelry and Pawn wants to buy them. See Chuck and get extra cash only at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn.
Put more power in your fishing on the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show.
Look at that, he's smoking the reel.
With Captain Kevin Faber.
Look at the reel, look at the reel, look at the reel.
Thursday nights at 6.
Oh my goodness. Is it big?
On 1010XL AM.
Where's the longest cave system in the world? The answer in a moment.
There's always a good reason to compare homeowners' insurance rates. You may be paying too much. Protect your home with a Southern Oak insurance policy today.
Our family protecting yours, Southern Oak Insurance.
With over 400 miles meandering through 3 counties, Mammoth Cave National Park in Kentucky is the longest cave system in the world.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Brian Wall here. Would you take your paycheck, go to the bank, cash it, and then simply throw it up in the air? I didn't think so. But in a way, over the years, that is exactly what you're doing if you have old or builder-grade windows in your home. Even if you have a brand new home, those windows are not the best windows you can have to save on your energy bills. Window World has sold millions of replacement windows to homeowners like you, and Window World's customer satisfaction is the highest in the business. Please check Window World out yourself and save on your new windows and on your energy bills. Compare with other companies and you'll see Window World is simply the best for less. It's up to you. You can call Window World and get a free estimate, get the best guarantee in the window replacement business, save money on your new windows, and save more on your energy bills. Call Window World today at 904-443-7001 or go online to windowworldneflorida.com. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors. If you want to get into broadcasting, 1010XL is partnering with the Broadcasters and Sportscasters Mentoring Group to offer on-air broadcast training to a select few. Find out how you can be mentored at getintobroadcasting.com. Getintobroadcasting.com.
Baseball is back. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, presented by FIS, takes the field this season at 1-to-1 Financial Ballpark as the AAA affiliate of the Miami Marlins. Tickets start at just $5. Fireworks after every Friday home game, and kids run the bases after Sunday games. Call 358-2846 or jackshrimp.com. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, affordable, family, fun.
Did you know the 2023 Honda CR-V Hybrid never needs to be plugged in? The onboard system charges the batteries for you. When you think Honda, think hybrid. Good for the environment, great for your budget. Visit your local Honda dealer to experience the CR-V of the future today.
Feeling hot and bothered? Don't quack up. Call Duck Duck Air Conditioning at 904-862-6769. Our licensed and experienced technicians will make your home or office a cool and comfortable oasis.
Duck Duck Air Conditioning, keeping you cool and quacking all summer long.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL. Now, more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Hopped up the plane at LAX with a dream, my cardigan. Welcome to the land of fame excess.
All right, this is not what you want for the Jacksonville Jaguars, but it's a reminder. Not this song. I don't really care what song they play. quite frankly. Play well.
Uh-huh.
It's a little earworm. What can I tell you? What you don't want is a reversal of last year. Last year, they were super healthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
This year already, Tony, camp's just opening up, a sprinkling of teams. Kadarius Toney, as Kadarius Toney's want to do, tweaks his knee.
Something
with Kadarius Toney. It's always Kadarius Toney, just, strong breeze comes along. Kadarius Toney's going to miss a month.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had to sit out the first day of practice at least for the Kansas City Chiefs. A tweak for Amari Cooper, a minor tweak. Tweak of what? Not quite sure, but a tweak he suffered. So he'll miss a little bit of time. Nyheim Hines. Now, this was not a training camp injury. This is a non-football injury. What did Nyheim Hines of the Buffalo Bills end up doing?
Yeah, the story broke this morning that it sounded like he was going to miss the year, and here in the last few minutes, Tom Pelissero has actually tweeted out that while sitting stationary on a jet ski, Nyheim Hines was struck by another rider and sustained serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Hines will require surgery and will miss the 2023 season.
Note, while sitting stationary on a jet ski. Like, that sounds to me like, make sure the story gets out that I was sitting stationary on a jet ski, right? You know what I mean? Because there are all these clauses in contracts. And obviously, if you get hurt off the football field, they can negate a lot of stuff. But there are very specific things in a lot of contracts of what are considered high-risk activities that you're not allowed to participate in. So I wonder if there's any difference if there is a clause about jet skiing. If you're on a jet ski, you're jet skiing. Yeah. And I wonder, it reads to me like he is saying, hey, I was just sitting here. Could have been, sitting on a park bench somewhere. The thing was you weren't sitting on a park bench somewhere. That's the Bills' issue to contend with. Feel bad for Nyheim Hines. Feel bad for any of these guys.
In Detroit here in the last few minutes as well, as apparently they're on the field this morning. And defensive back C.J. Gardner-Johnson went down with a right leg injury Monday, was carted off the field, visibly upset. Team captains Bugs and Goff made it a point to go comfort him, hoping for better news than it looked. And then a few minutes later, a source described it as a non-contact knee injury for Gardner-Johnson. So one of the big free agent additions there for the Lions, trying to make a playoff push this year. It sounds like it may be over before it begins.
I mean, I don't know if they're the betting favorite in the NFC North, but they're the kind of anecdotal, everybody's favorite pick in the NFC North this year. And they did come on strong at the end of the season. They whacked Jacksonville late in the year last year. They're an interesting young ball club, but C.J. Gardner-Johnson doesn't look like, at least for the time being, going to be a part of it. So, again, knock on wood, man, that could be anybody in the National Football League. Yeah. We know that. Let's hope that every day, the number one thing coming out of practice, everybody got through in good shape, live the battle another day. You can have a bad practice. You can have poor execution. All these things throughout training camp, throughout the preseason. None of them matter nearly as much as the availability, particularly of your top players. So, I mean, I think that's a given, right? But I do think it's a fair question for this team in particular, because for the most part, they were extremely healthy last year. Can you replicate that? What is it going to be like if you have to overcome the loss of 2 or 3 key starters for a month or more throughout the course of the season? Certain positions, like running back, even though we haven't seen Tank Bigsby at an NFL level, we haven't seen Dearness Johnson in the Jaguar uniform, I have confidence that the running game could still produce if they miss Travis Etienne for a spell. They'd probably lose, breakaway run opportunities. But I think they could have an effective running game. I think they're fairly deep at wide receiver, enough so that if they missed one of their top 3 guys for a little while, I think they could get by. You don't want to test that theory.
No.
Certain other positions, I mean, we don't even need to mention quarterback, but they're, we talked about corner. Tyson Campbell needs to stay healthy for this football team. I mean, the drop-off to me from Tyson Campbell, and I know Darius Williams, according to some metrics last year, played very well on the outside. Mm-hmm. I just think that the presence of Tyson Campbell taking on either, the best guy on the other team or completely eliminating the number 2 makes life easier for the guy opposite him, particularly when you can give that guy some double-team help.
Yeah, trying to think through the major injuries they had to deal with last year. DeJuan Smoot late, right? And that's a piece that's part of your rotation there. But that was late in the year, and they missed Cam Robinson for a month,
Right.
basically. But those were the big injuries they had, and Cam Robinson, they didn't miss a beat, right? With Walker Little coming in, he's a good enough player that it didn't affect the team all that much to lose your starting left tackle.
But
I don't think that's all that common.
It puts you on the brink, though,
Yeah.
right? Like, that all of a sudden it's
Another
like
one who
the
knows.
next
Yeah.
one to happen. And we're already going into the season in that position without Cam Robinson for at least the first 4 games of the year. So, again, nobody can control that kind of stuff. They do what they can in terms of rest and recovery and not putting guys in bad situations, but freak things are going to happen, and you see it around the National Football League. So, look, that to me, even though you can't predetermine how that's going to go or really know, you can't influence it all that much. I'm sure there are ways they try to influence it. That's probably a number one question for every team out there.
Yeah.
If Patrick Mahomes misses 2 months, how's Blaine Gabbert? Now, he's now the backup. Former Jaguars go to chase rings behind Patrick Mahomes. It's not a bad plan, to be honest with you. But if you're wondering who replaced Chad Henne, who did retire, going out on top.
I
Blaine
saw
Gabbert.
the CBS Sports put up an article over the weekend that had the betting odds at Caesars Sportsbook, and you making the comment, is Detroit the betting favorite?
Yes.
Just reminded me of it, and I pull it up. Detroit is the betting favorite to win the NFC North as of now. When I looked at the article, the Jags have the best odds in the NFL to win their division, right? Which isn't a big surprise.
Sure, what are the odds, actually?
But then I'll pull that up for you here in a sec. But they were tied for the 6th best odds to make the playoffs with Dallas. So the best odds to win their division, but the 6th best odds to make the playoffs, they're behind. That's at -210. They're behind the 49ers, Chiefs, Eagles, Bengals, and Bills as far as odds just to make the playoffs.
And I kind of understand that because they're saying those teams are strong enough that it's hard to conceive of them having a bad enough season where even if they didn't win their division because somebody really rose up, that they wouldn't make the playoffs as a wild card. There are 3 wild cards in every conference. Where you look at the Jags last year, it was kind of win and get in, and that was the whole ball of wax. And here we are talking about how healthy they were. Will that repeat? They didn't add a lot outside of their draft class. Now, again, we've been talking about it, Tony, and this will be the first time this week I'm contractually obligated to mention, not really, but I feel that way, that Trevor Lawrence's improvement is going to be the biggest bellwether of how much his team improves overall this year. But those odds are not in conflict to me. Like, I can understand you're a big favorite to win your division, but if you don't, we're not confident enough in you yet to really say, well, this is going to be a 12-win team either way, and they're going to coast into a wild card position.
And it tells you that the odds makers at least are making a bet that there's going to be one team from the AFC South that goes to the playoffs, right? Like, I do think to some degree it's telling you that as well.
That there only will be one team.
That they think the Jags are the team to bet on to win the division, and that there will probably be one team from the division that's going to make the playoffs this year. The Jags, by the way, -185 to win the division. Again, the best odds there. I did think it was interesting, too.
So what is that? Bet 185 to win 100, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I did think it was interesting, too, that I gave you the 5 teams that were ahead of them with better odds just to make the playoffs. They're tied with Dallas for 6th at -210 to make the playoffs straight up. There were a total of 14 teams that were negative odds to make the playoffs, right? That you had to bet more than you'd win, essentially, for these teams to make the play. I thought it was interesting because the number's 14, right?
That's how many teams make the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah.
With the 7 that we've mentioned, Baltimore, Detroit, the Chargers, Dolphins, Saints, Jets, and Seahawks.
Okay, how many of those
teams.
14 are AFC teams now?
Let's see.
Right? I mean,
1, 2, 3,
I couldn't sort them all in my head.
5, 6, 7.
So 7 in each.
7 in each.
Okay. Seemed like there were more AFC teams. It was leaning towards there. All right, well, I mean, look, we expect them to win the division, right? We expect them to go to the playoffs this year. I think, look, if they go to the playoffs and don't win the division, and it's because somebody had a surprising year, and it's not because they limped in, I don't think they're going to be able to sneak in as a wild card this year. There's too many good AFC teams potentially, right? If you look just in the North, Cincinnati, we know is going to be strong. Every team in that division has legitimate playoff hopes, I think, outside of Cincinnati. In the AFC East, I think even if you think New England has a legitimate playoff hope, every team in that division has legitimate playoff hopes. That's why you look at the AFC South and you say the Jags are the clear-cut favorite because nobody – now, funny things happen and sports play themselves out, but nobody's going to give the Texans and the Colts much of a chance to show up anywhere close to the postseason.
No.
This year.
And, you look at the division, and it's pretty easy to see why the Jags would be circled as the favorite in the AFC South going into this year.
Trevor.
But looking at what happened with the division last year, right, and so much of these odds are reflective of what the team did the year before. Right? Like they do have to project some, like the Jets being in the kind of conversations that they're in. With the way their season ended, they add Aaron Rodgers, so it's a bit of a different thing. Detroit didn't make the playoffs, but they are the team that I think a lot of people are, they are the darling to win the North this year in the NFC. Those kind of things happen. But you look at the way the division played out last year here in the South. It was a playoff game in Week 18, the winners going to the playoffs, right? Between the Jags and the Titans, nobody else was in that atmosphere, right? And it's not like either of those teams were still competing for a wild card spot, realistically, going into that week either. It was they were going to win and go to the playoffs or they weren't, right? That's where the division was last year. There's not been enough movement for the division improving to feel like it's going to be very different this year. As far as just how many teams from the South are going to be making the playoffs. It's going to be the division winner, and they're going to get to host a playoff game, right, when everything is said and done. And we'll see where they stack up against the rest of the AFC. But with all the good teams in the AFC, I think it's hard to imagine two teams from this division making the playoffs. But there is the opportunity, I think, because of the weakness of the AFC South in combination with you getting to play the NFC North, and the other teams in the AFC South don't have to play the first place schedule on top of that. Right. So if you have a pretty good team, I think that there's a chance at least for you to be a wild card team, but I wouldn't bet on it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we're talking about Tennessee, quite frankly. I mean, is it possible that Indy gets bounce back seasons from some of their key players who had down years last year? Absolutely. And that Anthony Richardson comes in and he's just a force to be reckoned with. Because teams don't quite know how to defend him right out of the gates. Is it possible C.J. Stroud is wise beyond his years and D'Amico Ryans get that team believing in him and playing above their heads a little bit? I mean, sports are funny. Things are possible. Not very likely on either of those two fronts. But, yeah, I think, you look at Tennessee, they take Arden Key from your division rival. They get Harold Landry back. They get their quarterback back. And I understand all this. Yeah, we beat them with Tannehill. I understand that. They've also beaten you plenty with Tannehill. And just to assume that at full strength, they're not going to give you any kind of a contest. Yeah. They add DeAndre Hopkins in the last week or so. There's they're not giving up. Although, had they been able to deal Derrick Henry, maybe it would have gone a completely different way. But they didn't. And I think they're entrenched for at least one more run for the AFC South. Whether they've got the horses to get there will be largely determined by how well the Jags play this year. John Oehser going to join us coming up next from Jaguars.com. Then we'll get into what CBS laid out as the biggest questions for your Jacksonville Jaguars. It's your Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day. What are the three biggest questions you still have remaining as the Jags get ready to embark on their first training camp practice now in less than 48 hours. Tony Smith is back in the fold. Dylan Denmark's here. I'm Mike Dempsey. You're listening to Jaguars Today. Johnny O coming up on the other side. Keep it right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. Yum, yum, on the go. You want something good in your belly? Dandy is the label to look for. Dandy and the Anytime Deli labels, really both from the Dandy Corporation. The Thompson family, a Jacksonville family, started this company over 65 years ago. And, man, they could have gotten fat and happy just making the same 5, 6, 7 fantastic sandwiches over and over and over again and watching their profits rise. But, no, they understand tastes change, times change. They always try to improve their menu. But one thing they don't mess with is the quality of their products. Always the highest quality ingredients that go into them, whether it's sandwiches, subs, breakfast sliders, lunchtime wraps, gourmet salads, you name it. If it's food on the go, Danny's probably tried it and done it very, very well in recent years. So the next time you're hungry and you're driving around Duval, swing into a gate station, head right to the fresh case, and look for that Dandy label, and you know you're going to be satisfied. When you're hungry in Duval, do what I do. Go out and make yours a Dandy, and do it today.
Jaguars Today Monday, brought to you by Ratify Credit Union on 1010XL.
This is Jaguars Today from the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
JOI, where the pros go. Play-by-play sports just sounds better on radio. For high school, college, and pro sports play-by-play, turn on 1010XL.
The game of golf has never been more popular, and Hidden Hills Golf Club welcomes everyone. You'll love our friendly staff and fantastic golf course. Visit us at hiddenhillsgc.com or give us a call at 620-0910.
Whether it's a large commercial project or a multifamily property, trust All Pro Roofing for exceptional craftsmanship and unparalleled customer service. We use only the finest materials, ensuring durability and long-lasting results. Plus, All Pro Roofing now has a full siding and windows division. That's right, All Pro Roofing is not just about roofs anymore. All Pro Roofing, now your trusted partner for commercial roofing, multifamily projects, exterior siding, and windows. AllProRoofingLLC.com.
License number CCC 1327056.
CDC 060138.
Frank Frangie here. These days, it's hard to know which companies to trust. When it comes to banking, I trust South State Bank. South State truly values its customers, and they work hard to create meaningful, lasting relationships. I love going into my local branch. I see the same smiling faces I've seen for years. South State is the largest bank headquartered in Florida, so they're able to offer all the banking services you need. You can trust South State Bank. Banking forward. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
You don't have to be a football star to get a signing bonus. The team at Republic Services needs your skills, and they're paying up to $5,000 for you to join the roster. You'll be joining a winner. As an essential business, the Republic Services trucks have not stopped rolling with hourly and weekly pay and better benefits and vacation packages than the rest of the league. Driver trainees, $1,000 sign-on bonus. CDL drivers, $3,000. Diesel mechanics, $5,000 bonus. Join the winning team at Republic Services today. Visit republicservices.com.
Equal opportunity employer.
Pads will pop, and the practice field will rock. Get daily training camp coverage brought to you by Kingfish Pest Control and Roland Leash Plumbing.
That's it.
On 1010XL.
High School 912 provides a leadership academy that helps students develop into an effective, efficient, and confident leader. The John Donahue Junior High School 912 Leadership Academy provides a full day of skill learning and collaboration for all students across Jacksonville, Florida. If interested in sponsoring this interactive event, email jackshighschool912@gmail.com. For more information, visit jackshighschool912.com/leadership academy.
Hey, Matt Hayes here. Expert Automotive is now open at our brand new state-of-the-art facility on St. John's Bluff Road. As always, every repair comes with a lifetime service repair warranty. Come celebrate our grand reopening by getting a free AC inspection, $50 off any repair, $199 brake specials, and free diagnostics all month long. Call 374-3373 or visit us at our new location at 2190 St. John's Bluff Road. Expert Automotive. We never sell greed, only what you need.
Did you know that many cooling companies are now part of big conglomerates with no connection to Northeast Florida? In the past, they have concentrated on heating and air conditioning, but after a buyout, many add plumbing and electrical services. This raises their overhead, and those costs are passed on to the consumer. It's a case where bigger isn't better, it's just more expensive. Not Mike Merritt's Heating and Air. Mike Merritt remains family-owned and operated. Merritt's focus has been the same for more than 30 years, keeping Northeast Florida comfortable, no matter what the weather. And there are no overtime or weekend surcharges. Mike Merritt's team does not work on commission. They repair only what needs repair and offer replacements only on what can't be fixed. And unlike at giant corporations where you can feel like just another number, with Mike Merritt, you'll feel like number one. Florida license CACO 50384.
Do you need a doctor today? For all your healthcare needs,
I found Reliance Primary and Urgent Care. They were huge for me when I needed a doctor that day. Not 3 weeks later like my PCP said. 3 weeks? I need help today. The level of service and compassion is what you will experience at Reliance. At 295 and Southside Boulevard, Dr. Patel and his staff are committed to providing the best patient experience and advocate for your healthcare needs. Visit them online at relianceprimary.com.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. What's better than beer? Cold beer. Put your company logo on a custom koozie. Check them out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all. 1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now more Jaguars Today on 1010XL. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, he'll be back soon in the regular rotation. The senior writer from Jaguars.com on the All-Pro Roofing hotline this morning. Like Dempsey, Tony Smith, we welcome in John Ogier. Johnny O, how are you, bud?
Good. It's that time of year, right?
It's getting to be. Football
I'll be seeing
time.
you guys in a few days.
Yeah, man. I don't know if you've heard, the Jags will be on the practice field this week.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Wednesday, no pads until Monday, I guess. And obviously everybody knows Monday's really when the day it gets going. You can start really judging. But, once they're out there and they're going. So I think there seems, for many, many reasons, most legitimate, to be more excitement among the fans for this year than any year I can remember in a long time. So,
right. We were excited in 2018, John, but, it was coming off a year where you were asking the defense to replicate one of the all-time seasons, and here you feel like, man, your quarterback's going to just keep getting better and better and better, and I think that's the major difference. But Tony and I were talking about a minute ago, look, anything can happen in any practice, even in a non-practice situation, and we're seeing a bunch of injuries already around the National Football League. Putting quarterback aside, because of the drop-off there for any team is substantial, which position or a couple of positions would you be most concerned with the depth at, like that you could least afford to lose a key player for an extended period of time?
Well, you said the key word. I mean, I think, you don't want to lose Ridley because it feels like, we haven't seen it yet, but it feels like he's going to be such a dynamic piece that opens everything else up that you'd hate to see that loss. But, I think you were alluding to depth there. You feel like with Christian and Zay Jones and Evan Ingram, they can compensate that.
Right.
They seem relatively deep. It feels like you don't want to lose Tyson Campbell. Because I don't know, is he a one lockdown guy? He's pretty close. I don't know that you have anything close to that after that. And then, so if you lose him or lose even Darius, now you're throwing in a lot of unknowns. And this is a league, obviously, where unknowns have to play and they have to step up. But that would feel the most uncertain. I said all last year, I know he gets criticized. I know he hasn't been all-pro. But the guy I don't want to lose on defense is Josh Allen, just because I don't know where you get that if he's out. I don't know what's next at his spot that replaces what offenses have to be concerned with him doing. So I would say Tyson and Josh on defense are the guys that you do not want to lose. Position group, probably secondary. I mean, I know I'm taking too long to answer the question, but probably secondary with the position group.
What did you take away from the conversation you got to have with Trayvon Walker?
Well, that was in May. So we went up, and Kai Stevens, who's our Jaguars reporter, and I went up with a lot of people from Jaguars media, had a chance to talk with him and sit down. Took away, I don't know that I learned a whole lot that I didn't know because I thought he was a good kid. I had met his parents briefly in May or when he was drafted. So I had a feel for the background, but you got an appreciation for just what he meant to that town. That was really what our focus was. In terms of football, I think he has sort of a quiet confidence that he's going to be better this year. He had one quote that I used in the story that he really does feel like the experience of last year, defense slowing down, all the cliches that we hear about, he mentioned, and I think he really does feel like he's going to be improved. But the overall takeaway is what you see is what you get from this guy. He's a small town kid who was raised by a military parent, and he walks that walk.
John Ocher here with us, Jaguars.com, as Jaguars will be on the practice field in just 2 scant days from now. John, heard the drill talking about this morning. Dan and Jeff bringing up, I think a lot of just assumption that Anton Harrison's going to roll in and be a really good player at right tackle. And that may be the case, right? I mean, obviously highly coveted. He went in the first round. We understand all the measurables and what he's potentially capable of. But how confident do you think the team is in that he is not going to be a concern, that they're not going to have to give him abundance of help, in pass block protection schemes, that he's going to be able to handle his business?
It's almost like this. It's almost like they have to be confident right now, meaning that's what you got. And you have to sort of be ready if he's not that. He certainly looks like that guy. They drafted him to be that guy. But as we all know, until they get pads on, until they start playing games, you don't really know. I mean, all the percentages say that you're going to be fine there. How confident are they? I think they're cautiously optimistic. But you've got to have a backup. I mean, because, we've all been doing this a long time. We've all sat here in July talking about a rookie, and then the very next week, you're sitting on the practice field raising your eyebrows going, well, here we go. So I don't know if he'll be that guy. Maybe he's plug and play. The reality is you just don't know until they start doing, one-on-one pass rush the following Monday. But then even that is tough to judge. Until they get in games, you don't know, but they're hopeful and confident. I mean, I don't want to underplay it. They're confident, but you got to have a backup plan.
John, I think before the official length of the suspension got announced for Cam Robinson, there, the old prevailing speculation was that, all right, if Cam comes back, if they're rolling along, we're just going to roll with what we've got because we'll be a month and a half into the season. Now we're talking a 4-game suspension, and putting aside the logistics of would he be able to easily slide back into the lineup in London, second of back-to-back games in London against the Buffalo Bills, do you anticipate now that it's more than likely that if Cam Robinson's healthy and ready to roll, that he is back in at left tackle as soon as he's able to play that position?
I do. I mean, like you said, I don't know if it's week 5 because of logistics and because, okay, you're back, maybe you want to practice. I do think it would be left tackle now with my gut feeling is it would be Walker Little moving to, or possibly Walker moving to guard for the remainder of the season. That feels to me like it makes the most sense because you want to get your best 5 out there, and I think it would be tougher to move Cam inside just because he's in his 8th year. I mean, and so much can change, obviously, before that date. You can have injuries, guys playing well, whatever. Right now, I would think that's how it plays out. But I don't know that I'm sitting here saying, hey, I'm 99% sure that's how it plays out. That would be, to me, what seems the most logical, but it also wouldn't shock me to go another direction. I think that's fluid, but I think it plays out that way because I have to have an answer.
Yeah, I think it's one of the big questions, John, going into training camp is just the reps for all these guys at different spots and how much do they move any of the guys that are offensive tackles to get guard reps during training camp, and what could that possibly look like when they do have to make a decision when all 3 guys are available to them as to who's going to be playing where. I think it's one of the biggest stories as we head into training camp this week.
Yeah, and so much, and I'm sometimes bad at these questions because I tend to think of it as, look, if you've got good players out there, which I think Cam Robinson's a good player, Walker Little, we hope Anton is, so much happens with injuries, and then all of a sudden your reality changes in a week. And I keep going back to last year. Cam goes out, Walker Little comes in. If they hadn't had 3 guys who could play tackle last year, they probably don't make the playoffs.
Right.
So I think overall it's a good situation. When the coaches talk late in OTAs, Phil Rauscher, the offensive line coach, talked more about versatility and guys in different spots. All offensive line coaches tend to talk like that, but it really felt like he talked about it a lot. And I think they're sort of fine going in with a little bit of a fluid, having a few backup plans. Walker Little works Summit guard in OTAs. I'd be surprised if there wasn't some of that going on in training camp just to get ready.
John, we know it's year 3 technically for Travis Etienne, but his rookie year, because of the injury, we didn't get to see him. So it's really like year 1 to year 2, and we've talked so much over the years about the jump that players have going from year 1 to year 2 in their playing career in this league. What do you expect that to look like this year for Travis Etienne?
Well, it's a storyline I'm certainly watching. I talked to Doug Peterson twice about that this offseason. Both times his eyes kind of lit up, talking about how Travis is a gifted, natural, good runner as a rookie, very good. But he and they really think that he can get a lot better in terms of knowing how to read blocks in the NFL, knowing how to set up blocks, all that veteran stuff. I don't want to overplay it and say that it'll be more of an impact than Trevor's jump in the second year of this offense, which I think everybody's looking for. But from listening to Doug talk about it, he really thinks that Travis Etienne can really jump off based on that. Another interesting thing there, talking to Parmalee late in the offseason, he loves Tank Bigsby. Tank Bigsby now. So is that just coach excited about it? A guy that he hadn't seen play yet, but there was a light in Parmalee's eyes when he was talking about Bigsby that he thinks he can be special. So that's going to be an interesting spot.
A few more minutes here with John Oehser in anticipation of the Jags' first training camp practice coming up on Wednesday. John, the team re-signs DeJuan Smoot. I heard Dan Hickens say they did a TV piece, and Smoot admitted he's about 80% right now. So you hope he's ready to go full bore at the beginning of the season. But, outside of him, behind Josh Allen, who you mentioned is a guy who's indispensable, can't lose him, Trayvon Walker, somebody's going to have to break out unless they go out and bring in a veteran piece right now, whether it's K'Lavon Chaisson, Jordan Smith, Yasir Abdullah as a rookie that's asking a lot. Still have plenty of cap space. Where do you think things stand in terms of their interest in veteran pass rush?
Yeah, it's curious. I get the angst among the fans. I don't sense the same angst talking to Trent and Doug about this. K'Lavon looks good in the off season, but when you're a fourth-year guy who's a first-round pick, you got to show it before people talk about it a whole lot. Smoot, to me, that Achilles is a tough thing to come back from. I thought they might even pup him to start, just because it's such a tough injury, and he was injured so late. They didn't, so looks like he's going to be ready to go and sort of playing his way back. I think they're going to look and try to see what they've got once contact starts. Keep monitoring the veteran available very closely and kind of be on their toes about that, if you know what I mean. I think it's going to be something they're thinking about. I would guess it's one of the first things they talk about in meetings during training camp that night. Hey, where do we stand with this? It obviously wouldn't shock me to see veteran pass rusher. I just don't think they see it as much of a crisis as the fans do right now.
Yeah, there is you play a rotation of guys along that defensive front, so it's a bit of a different conversation than it would be in the secondary. We saw the story with Chris Claybrooks come out over the weekend as well. We'll see what the long-term ramifications of that are going to be, but it felt like he's kind of on the edge of the roster right now anyway. How seriously do you think the Jags are looking at adding somebody in the secondary throughout camp?
Well, I think that's really a spot where very quickly you can start getting a feel for, are your young secondary players, are they ready? That's a spot that fifth or sixth corner, last corner on the roster, if he was that, you typically don't go add that in signing until maybe after preseason's over with. Once you realize, hey, we are desperate. I would think Monteric Brown, that sort of guy from last year's draft, plus guys they drafted this year. I don't think they'll go outside, but somebody out of these late round guys they've drafted over the last couple of years needs to take that spot. That's supposed to be sort of a churn the later round picks out after 3 or 4 years position. And that could be the direction it goes. I have no idea the details on the second Claybrooks incident, so I don't know how they feel about that. But that's sort of how that goes even without that incident, if you follow me.
Sure. All right, John, final thought here, and we'll look forward to getting many more as you join us once again in the regular rotation on Wednesdays throughout the NFL season. Tony and I talk about it a lot. I think everyone would agree that all these things we talk about, improvement from this player, that player, it all kind of pales in significance to the improvement that may be seen from Trevor Lawrence, and that is going to be the biggest improvement for this team this year potentially, is how much better your quarterback gets at the age of 23 with still a lot of growth potential. You don't necessarily have to put numbers on it, but what are we going to see? Like, how big of a leap forward are you anticipating for Trevor Lawrence going into year 3?
Well, it's so hard to predict until you see it. Obviously, that's what you're asking me to do. I think it's going to be mammoth. I mean, it should be his biggest jump. Peterson talked about it all last year, that the second year in this offense for him should be an enormous jump. You're adding Ridley, which should open things up dramatically. You would think you would see far more consistency. Trevor had obviously multiple spots last year where he was as good as any quarterback in the league, meaning stretches where that offense couldn't be stopped. The second half against the Chargers, we all remember the time where they were just dynamite, and he looked the part. Now he's got to cut off more and more of the stuff where he doesn't look like that and skew more toward that. That's supposed to come with experience, with knowledge of the offense, with going to the line and being able to get to your fourth read as opposed to your second, because you've got that experience. I expect it to be mammoth, and for us next year this time to be talking about him as a, top 5. It's hard to get to number 1 right now because you got Mahomes, Burrow. So it's going to be a conversation. But by this time next year, you expect him to be very close to that conversation.
Let's hope that's the case,
That's what
man.
it's supposed to be, right?
That's what it's supposed to be. You're exactly right. It took a little while to get going for a variety of reasons, but doesn't matter now. What has happened in the past, hopefully the second half of the season will be predictive of the future for Trevor Lawrence coming up. All right, Johnny O, look forward to seeing you out there. And if you don't follow John Oehser already, you're probably new to the program. But you should on Twitter or X or whatever the hell social media is calling itself these days. Just find John at his name, Oehser, Oehser. All the best, Johnny. We'll see you out there on Wednesday.
Guys, great to reconnect. We'll talk to you.
You got it, man. We'll see you out there very soon, and we'll look forward to having the senior writer from Jaguars.com back as part of the rotation. I did get a text this morning, Tony, about 10 minutes before we went on the air from DG9. Ready to get the band back together.
Yeah.
Let's go, baby. It's just a matter of weeks now before we have the full lineup back intact and we're ready to roll. If you'd like to get in and talk about Jaguar football, and particularly today's question of the day, asking you which are the 3 biggest questions you still have remaining heading into training camp, 641-1010, the easiest way to do it. Another hour to go. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark here with you. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today Monday is brought to you by Ratify Credit Union on 1010XL.
Jaguars Today from the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Studios.
JOI, where the pros go.
Hey folks, you know you want shark coatings, and the time is now. So close your eyes and let's imagine your garage. Wait, if you're driving, please don't close your eyes. Just wait till you get home. The rest of you see those cracks, the stains? It looks dark, dull, and dreary. It's nothing you're proud of. It's your house junk drawer. Now, see your floor with shark coatings. It's bright, it's durable, it's fresh. Since it's non-porous, it will be so much easier to clean. Don't imagine your garage, driveway, porch, or pool deck this way. Get with shark coatings and have a brand new space with new possibilities.
Sporting goods for the mind.
One for you, and one for you, and one for you.
Your sports superstore.
Yeah, what about Charlie? And one for Charlie.
1010XL.
Wondering what you're going to do for dinner tonight? Southern Steer Butcher is a full-service butcher that offers take-and-bake side options that are oven-ready.
Now open in Ortega. For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
Introducing an exciting update from Duck Duck Rooter. Mia here and my friends at Duck Duck are thrilled to expand on their already long line of home and business services with the launch of Duck Duck Air Conditioning. As a licensed mechanical contractor, the skilled Duck Duck Air Conditioning team is equipped to handle any HVAC and refrigeration project you can throw at them. Folks, it is hot outside. There is no reason to be hot inside. Contact Duck Duck Air Conditioning today at 904-862-6769 or online at duckduckac.com.
Come to Bowden Eye for all your eye care needs. Hicken here. Did you know that dry eye disease affects up to 60 million Americans? Dry eye disease is known to progress. Dry eye disease is one of the most common but least diagnosed eye conditions doctors see in their patients. Many of us who have dry eye may not even feel it. At Bowden Eye and Associates, visit today for your personal consultation. Keeping the First Coast focused. Bowden Eye and Associates. New location now open off County Road 210 in St. Johns County.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Have you been to the Bald Eagle Pub? It has every game on 20 TVs, live music Monday with blues rock, karaoke Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Also on Wednesday, boozy bingo. Thursday night is open mic. Bring your instrument and get after it. New patio, you have smoking. Also, you can purchase cigars. It's time to check out the veteran-owned Bald Eagle Pub, 5398 Timuquana Road.
It's time to shine a spotlight on your colleagues or company's exceptional achievements. Throughout the year, Jacksonville Business Journal hosts awards to honor the individuals or companies innovating, inspiring, and changing industries. They're looking for the fastest growing companies, your ultimate CEO, a woman of influence, rising stars, tech leaders, 40 under 40, and best places to work. Learn more about the criteria and deadlines at jbjevents.com.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can now do it in less than a week. Hey, it's Prosser here, and that's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, or even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. And you don't even have to touch your primary mortgage, so you can keep that 3% rate intact. Just get the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Your Jaguars are back at Everbank Stadium, and we can't wait to see you there. Wow. Deciding on your favorite matchup has never been easier with a bundle at the bank. Purchase tickets to 3 or more games, starting at just $58 per game. As a bundle purchaser, you receive exclusive access to Jaguars and Daly's Place pre-sales, discounts on single game tickets, and so much more. But seats are selling fast, so lock them in now. Visit Jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. There's a reason Stanley Pools is a family tradition of fine swimming pools. It's locally owned and run by the Stanley family since 1988. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build and renovate our pool, and they do a fantastic job of maintaining it. I've recommended Stanley Pools for years for pool construction, repairs, maintenance, and renovation. Call Stanley Pools at 269-7277 today to transform your backyard. That's Stanley Pools, 269-7277.
When you choose J-Dog Junk Removal, you're not just hiring a junk removal service. You're investing in a company that believes in making a lasting impact on the lives of our veterans and our community. J-Dog is dedicated to giving back to our local veteran organizations. They have donated over $50,000 in materials and services, ensuring that these valuable organizations have the resources they need to support our veterans. J-Dog Junk Removal, veteran-owned, veteran-operated.
Ackerman Urology offers the most advanced options for improving men's health and vitality. Their board-certified urologists treat all prostate disease and sexual health issues. Call their new location on Atlantic and Hodges or visit AckermanUrology.com.
I'm Sam Nelson with your 1010XL local sports update. The Jaguars have placed offensive lineman Ben Barch on the team's active or physical unable to perform list early Saturday morning, just one day after the team's injured veterans, rookies, and first-year players reported for training camp. Jaguar players are set to report to training camp officially on Tuesday. The Jacksonville Sharks continue their surge in the National Arena League by dominating the West Texas Warbirds 70-25. The next home game for the Sharks will be a playoff game that takes place on August 5th at Five-Star Veterans Memorial Arena. Mandarin High School wide receiver Jamie French on Sunday made the announcement to commit to the University of Alabama. The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp used a 6-run third inning to lift them over the Nashville Sounds 9-5 on Sunday for a series split. Jacksonville returns home to 121 Financial Ballpark to begin a 6-game series with the Gwinnett Stripers starting Tuesday. That's your 1010XL local sports update. I'm Sam Nelson for 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
At 11:04, it's 85 degrees. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
I feel like we're getting kind of a new soundtrack to Jaguars Today, right? I mean, that's one of the few areas we generally don't mess with the sound of the show. Let the producers have their influence on it.
They do, yeah.
See what Dylan Denmark comes up with over the next few weeks. Still debating whether to keep him or not, right? It's like, he's kind of on probation.
I'm on a
right
week-by-week contract.
Week by week, is it?
That's what the boss man told me.
Oh, okay.
You got to talk to my agent about that.
All right, well, good. Well, that's better job security than I would have given you. And I would say, let's see how tomorrow goes, and we'll go from there. Now, Dylan's done a great job, and we appreciate having him on board. And we do look forward to the team getting back together, man. I mean, Avengers Assemble. Let's go. David Garrard on Mondays, Jeff Lageman on Tuesdays, Johnny O, and frequently Donovan Darius on Wednesdays, D-Rock on Thursdays, and, of course, on Fridays, you've never missed Tom McManus because he's with us year-round. Mm-hmm. So all that good stuff coming your way, and look forward to all of it. We're going to effort to get Hayes Carline on for a final little preview of training camp tomorrow, and then I'll be out there at least for the first half of practice on Wednesday. I know Tommy Mack's going to be out there. He might join us in the third third hour. Yes, in the mysterious third hour of Jaguars Today. We're starting at 9 tomorrow. No, we're not. Don't tell the drill that because they will leave. They will. They'll just up and leave. I heard a rumor we were off at 9, and then we'll just have to slide in here and do some work. All right, Tony. I saw this piece. We had, while you were gone, Jordan Dajani on last week. Did a really nice job, I thought. Some national guys do their homework, and he writes a decent amount about the AFC South, and he's written some pieces about Trevor Lawrence recently, and he seemed pretty well informed for a national guy, which made me happy, right? Mm-hmm. The people are paying attention to the details of what's happening here in Duval. And so he did the piece, 3 questions for every AFC South team heading into training camp.
Okay.
And so looking at the Jags, I think we all would agree when we say, what's your biggest concern, right? Not everyone to a person is going to say pass rush, but the majority is going to say pass rush, mm-hmm. right? And there's no question that beyond the first 2 guys, and even the first 2 guys are somewhat unproven. Trayvon Walker's got a lot of potential. Josh Allen's done it at times. Some of the metrics tell you that his pressure rates are good. Okay, we got these 2 guys. We're fairly happy with them. What's behind him? You got an 80% Dwan Smoot right now at the moment. You don't need to be 100% right now, but you just guaranteed $3 million to a guy who's 80% in recovery from an Achilles injury. I hope it works out well. But number 2 on their list, and I don't know if he prioritized these as kind of like this is exactly the order, but at number 2 he put who are the pass rush replacements. Mm-hmm. And at the time, they hadn't re-signed Dwan Smoot. We did a Dwan Smoot question that quickly got, I don't know if you happen to notice it on social media. We put it out there. Which of these pass rushers is most likely to sign with the Jags? Because the report was Dwan Smoot was going to visit Baltimore this week.
Yeah.
So it was Smooter. It was Unique
Snapped him up
Ngakoue.
right before he did.
Justin Houston. And we got 30 minutes of the poll.
Yeah.
And the poll was all even. It was all good. It was all in the 20%, including none of the above. And then everybody was clever and voted for Smoot. Like, you were right, you clever people. That's why you're patient on the Jaguars Today question of the day. But the number one thing he put on there, Jordan Dejani at CBSSports.com, is Trevor Lawrence ready to push into superstardom?
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to quantify right now. What is that exactly going to mean? And what will that – and you could even throw out numbers if you said, all right, he went from 4,113 yards to 4,500 yards, right? There's a 400-yard increase basically from 25 touchdowns to 30 touchdowns, a 5-touchdown increase. Maybe he stays around 8 interceptions. That would be fine. 30 and 8 would be fantastic, right? But it's so much more than just the bottom line numbers, right?
Yeah.
It's how much you do on third down. It's how much better you are at avoiding sacks. It's how many drives you sustain that otherwise might have failed. It's how many times you don't get off to a slow start this year compared to last year. I think that rolls into Trevor Lawrence's ascension, but that's a big question, I think, for this offense. Are they going to have to overcome slow starts like they did in the first half of the season last year?
Right. When I think about Trevor Lawrence in the context of the question that he had in the article, right? Is Trevor Lawrence ready to push into superstardom? And what does that look like? I think Trevor Lawrence, his numbers compared with other quarterbacks in the league are going to be right on par, right? Like, I think that he's a skilled enough player at that position with the weapons that he's going to be surrounded with here in Jacksonville and the play caller he's got as a head coach right now, that his numbers are going to be right there with everybody in the league and will be there for a while. For Trevor Lawrence, I think superstardom for him is, do you beat Mahomes or Burrow when it counts?
Or Allen, maybe.
Right. Like, Allen's right on the edge of it, right? But Burrow is Burrow because he beats Mahomes, right? Like, that's the thing that makes Burrow. Like, the reason he's not disputed as the number 2 quarterback in the league right now, I think it's because his record against Mahomes is what it is. And he's lost once to that guy, which is remarkable.
That is accurate, right? But I also think, like Trevor, he came in with a body of work where the expectation was, like Josh Allen came in kind of like as this lump of clay. What is he going to turn into? Joe Burrow led the greatest college offense for one season of all time.
Yeah.
Won the Heisman, won the national championship, all that stuff. Trevor Lawrence has somewhat similar type resume. So when those guys fulfill those expectations, I think it's easier to elevate them into superstar status.
We've seen when they put out all the offseason list ranking players at their position, we've seen Trevor Lawrence consistently somewhere in that 6 to 8 range, right, at the quarterback position. It's been somewhere in that kind of number, 6 to 8. I think there's the potential with the numbers that I think he's going to put up this year. You know how I feel about the team and the opportunity they have with the schedule they're getting to play. I think that they could wind up being the 2 seed in the AFC. I think it's there in front of them. They got to go win it, right? But I think it's there in front of them, the opportunity at least to do that. And the potential, if they can do that, is that they get to host Burrow or Mahomes in the divisional round of the playoffs, right? Like, it's at least the potential of that is there for him. And if he wins that kind of game, I think there is at least the chance. And if he can go further than that, I think if he does that, I think when we're looking at these lists next offseason, as long as, Jalen Hurts or somebody doesn't win the Super Bowl, right? Say that they come up short, but one of these guys that's in that list that it's just on the edge of a Josh Allen, somebody like that wins the Super Bowl, they jump into the number 3 spot, I think. I don't think winning the Super Bowl would be enough necessarily to jump Mahomes, right? And I don't think getting to the AFC Championship game or even to the Super Bowl would be enough for Trevor Lawrence to be number 2 on the list. If he won it, I think it'd be interesting to see where he landed, because then you do have the Super Bowl win against Burrow having gone and lost, right? And likely you had to beat Mahomes and or Burrow to get yourself into that position. But I think if he's playing in the AFC Championship game, it's likely because he beat one of those guys this year. And when we're talking about these lists next year, that it's likely that Trevor Lawrence is the number 3 or 4 quarterback on most of those lists.
And in my best Stephen A. voice, quite frankly, if they win the Super Bowl, who cares where you rank Trevor Lawrence?
Oh, for sure.
And quite honestly, I mean, if you are if the debate is, should he be ahead of Burrow, one spot behind Burrow?
Let's have that debate.
He's arrived, man. You know what I mean? Like, he's on the brink of
that's superstardom.
I agree. And because most people look at Burrow right now as the second best quarterback in the league, whether that's fair or not to Jalen Hurts, who was the MVP runner-up last year, you can debate that. That's fine. But, that's the conversation that you're having with these guys. Who is arguably the best player at the position or capable of being the best player at that position for any one given season?
Yep.
I think Trevor's capable of that.
I do too.
Whether he does it. And you don't have to be the best quarterback at that position to win the Super Bowl that year.
No.
You just don't. There have been, Matt Stafford was really good for the Rams. He wasn't the best quarterback in the National Football League, but he had a good team around him. No. He made big plays at the right time.
And without the injury, I think the argument is very strong that Jalen Hurts was the best quarterback in football last year. But he did have the injury that factored in. He would have won the MVP without it.
And honestly, Tony, the injury might have highlighted it because they lost 2 of their 3 games when he was gone.
Yeah.
Right down the stretch. So
it's not that Mahomes isn't a worthy MVP last year, but I think without the injury, Jalen Hurts is going to win that award.
Don't want to test that theory, by the way, with number 16. Stay healthy all 17 games, and let them rank you where they rank you. I don't think it's been unfair this year to see him anywhere from that 7 to 10 range.
Me either.
And I think people are, they don't want to look foolish and overlook over the last 9 games the fact that he threw 15 touchdowns against 2 interceptions. And those are the kind of conclusions that piece by Jordan Dajani reached. He's got these things working for him. Ability, weapons, head coaching. This season could be fun in Duval County. He also mentioned the offensive tackles. Are they ready for their promotions? We'll see what ESPN says is one of the biggest questions facing the Jags heading into training camp as well. Tony Smith will take you around the National Football League. I know he's missed doing it. And he's back in the brand new studio that I designed personally. Tune in on the Jags, 1010XL YouTube channel, and you can watch Jaguars Today like some of our good friends like to do. With Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark, I'm Mike Dempsey, 641-1010 if you want to get in. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today Monday on 1010XL is brought to you by Ratify Credit Union.
This is Jaguars Today from the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
JOI, where the pros go. 1010XL takes you behind the microphone.
Do your job. You don't know what it's like to be me out here for you. It is an up at dawn, pride-swallowing siege.
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser. Mornings on 1010XL.
Major League Baseball is always on at Perfect Rag Billiards in Murray Hill. Whether you're a Ray, Cub, or even Yankee, Perfect Rag Billiards always has all the games live. Tons of awesome beer and food specials for the weekend. From Fireball Fridays, Seltzer Saturdays, and brunch on Sundays. That along with tons of pool tables, shuffleboards, darts, and more. Get on out of the house for the action and come to Perfect Rag Billiards in Murray Hill, where you can catch all the MLB action. Perfect Rag Billiards in Murray Hill, a great place to watch sports.
Hey guys, Hicken here. It's hot. The oven is on, and it ain't getting any cooler. Unless you stay cooler with Bueller. Bueller Air, still locally owned and still treating their growing customer base like they're part of the family. Go ahead and Google them yourself. Bueller Air, Buehler. You won't find better rated air conditioning company in town. I use them, so I already know. Like I said, it's getting hotter than ever outside, so stay cooler with Bueller.
Bueller Air, stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey Jacksonville, we need your help. It may be summer, but school is just around the corner. Hundreds of local homeless, at-risk, and low-income students need school supplies. One-to-One Financial, Jacksonville's hometown credit union, is collecting school supplies through July 30th, so our most vulnerable kids can start the school year right. Be a good person and help us fill 350 backpacks this summer. Bring donations to your nearest One-to-One Financial branch. Learn more and find the closest branch at one-to-one-fcu.org. And don't forget, the school supply tax holiday is the last week of July. Thanks, Jacksonville.
They say that health is wealth, but if you're struggling with obesity, your health could be paying too high a price. The good news is you can take charge with weight loss surgery at Baptist Health. Our personalized program is a center of excellence with a full team to support you every step of the way. Is it time to reclaim your health? To see if you qualify, call 904-202-SLIM or visit BaptistBariatrics.com.
Florida State, Clemson, and Miami.
All right.
It's the ACC kickoff in Charlotte, so you can get to know your favorite coaches and players. Brought to you by the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local Union 234 and Performance Painting on 1010XL.
Beer, water, beer. That's a pretty good game plan when it comes to battling the summer heat. When you hit the beach, fishing hole, or golf course, make sure you hydrate. Anheuser-Busch is always up for a good time. Just remember to drink responsibly.
Keeping your body healthy and active leads to a more vibrant life. A great place to do that is the First Coast YMCA. The Y is equipped with state-of-the-art cardio and strength equipment, plus group exercise studios where trainers host activities like yoga, Zumba, and cycling sessions. The full-court basketball gym and indoor 5-lane swimming pool are open year-round. The Kids Zone can keep an eye on your kids while you work on that dad bod. And it's all available with your family membership. Learn more at fcymca.org.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. Hurricanes happen in Florida. That's not news. But what happens even more often than hurricanes are home break-ins. And if security is important to you, you might want to look into hurricane-rated impact windows.
What you may not know is that hurricane-rated impact windows not only help protect your home in case of a hurricane, but they also offer another level of security for your home.
Have you seen those videos on YouTube that show people trying to break through an impact window? A thief is way too lazy to spend his energy trying to break through one of our impact windows. That's why he doesn't have a real job like you. He'd rather break your non-impact window while you're at work. Window World has high-quality, very affordable hurricane-rated impact windows to help protect your home from hurricanes and from lazy thieves.
Call us today at 904-443-7001. Get a free estimate and see for yourself. You save energy, get more security, and the windows add value to your home. With all Window World windows, you get the best guarantee in the window replacement business.
Window World, simply the best for less. And thank you for your business.
Okay, next time you're at the store, I dare you to not think about the unmistakable fresh, clean scent of Irish Spring. Yeah, you heard me. I want you to resist picturing a shower filled with those sensational Irish Spring suds. And if you succeed, well, you got what my gramps used to call resolutitude. Not a real word, but let's be honest, you're probably going to end up leaving with Irish Spring because of its irresistible scent and because you have zero resolutitude. Pick up Irish Spring today.
Mandarin people, make sure you wake up hungry, in the mood for a beverage, and ready to watch sports on Thursday, July 27th. The Players Grill opens its doors officially at 11 a.m. on San Jose. Players Grill, where the neighborhood meets.
Are you looking for increased privacy and protection for your family and pets? Look no further than Superior Fence and Rail. Superior Fence and Rail is Jacksonville's top-rated fence company, delivering the highest quality fence products. They'll treat your property as if it's their own. So get off the fence and get your privacy back. Call Superior Fence and Rail today for your on-site estimate.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
I talked to Doug Peterson twice about that this offseason. Both times his eyes kind of lit up. You know, talking about how Travis is a gifted, natural, good runner as a rookie, very good. But he and they really think that he can get a lot better in terms of knowing how to read blocks in the NFL, knowing how to set up blocks, all that veteran stuff. I don't want to overplay it and say that it'll be more of an impact than Trevor's jump, but from listening to Doug talk about it, he really thinks that Travis Etienne can really jump off based on that.
Jaguars Today
on 1010XL.
That, of course, the voice of John Ogier from Jaguars.com, who joined us in hour number one, talking about the impact Travis Etienne might have on this football team this year. Tony, you and I were talking about it on the break at D-Rock on last week. And, look, the Jags, we do have a tendency to do this, though, right? We look at all the positives, the potential, like, hey, this guy, we got this, we got this, we got this. They go up against their own defense, and then you get to the regular season, you realize maybe it's not quite as good. But this is a first-round talent running back. We all saw what he was able to do at a high-level football at Clemson University. We're not surprised that Travis Etienne's a good player in the National Football League. You do have Tank Bigsby. You do have Dearness Johnson, who has shown something in the NFL. You even have JaMychal Hasty, who was a fairly competent pass-catching option on third down last year. So you've got a pretty good running back room right here. we know you're adding Calvin Ridley, subtracting Marvin Jones Jr., and that was somebody's mention. I'll read through some of these in a little bit in terms of one of the biggest questions facing the Jags, who will be the Mr. Reliable guy, like on 3rd and 4th down this year. But overall, I think more people would say that Calvin Ridley is going to bring more overall to this offense. So you got Ridley, you got Kirk, you got Zay Jones, you got Agnew, you bring Ingram back. Who knows what Brenton Strange will be able to contribute here, but a lot of pieces here on this offense, which, looking at what ESPN put out there today, they have a one training camp question for every team out there, and they ask, can the Jags offense take a step forward from 2022? I'd be shocked if it doesn't, right? I mean, it's simply for the fact that Trevor Lawrence, he doesn't have to be 15-2 each half of the season. It doesn't have to be a 30-4 quarterback to take a step forward. But that level of touchdown production, I think he can match that throughout the course of a season. I mean, and that's in 9 games, so that's slightly under 30 touchdowns. But I think most Jaguar fans are counting on this offense taking a big step forward. But anyway, I had D-Rock on talking about the running back position, and, I came away with the impression that Tank Bigsby's going to have a big role in this. And you hear John Oehser talking about Doug Peterson, kind of his eyes lighting up, talking about what Travis Etienne can do to improve. Now, he may improve, and on a down-in, down-out basis, be better and more efficient than he was. I don't know if he's going to score more touchdowns. You know what I mean? I mean, the roles may be different, but I think it's just potentially a great problem to have. If Bernie Parmalee loves Tank Bigsby as much as everyone suggests that he does, and he himself says that he does, and Travis Etienne is healthy and could build. I mean, the guy was 5.1 yards a carry last year, right? I mean, you can have some really dynamic elements of that run game, and we all anticipate Trevor Lawrence is going to play at a high level this year. Boy, if you get that run game going in addition to that, it's hard to believe that's the biggest question facing the Jags. I think most people are anticipating this.
Yeah, it's such an odd time in the league for that position, right? I mean, Travis Etienne is coming off his first real season in Jacksonville. He's a top 10 rusher in the league last year. He averaged 5.1 yards per carry, which among the league leaders in rushing yards, the only 2 guys that are ahead of him on yards per carry on that list are Justin Fields, which is totally different because it's a quarterback that we're talking about there, but Fields had a remarkable year, and Nick Chubb is also at 5.1, right? Travis Etienne is that kind of guy. He was top 10 in the NFL in rushes of 20 or more yards, right? And he's going into his second full year after giving you that his rookie year, his first year on the field for you. And they did bring in a bunch of guys to fill out that room. And it's curious to see exactly what the role is going to be for Tank Bigsby. It makes it feel more likely than not that you better enjoy Travis Etienne for the couple of years you got him. Right? Because it does feel like odds are that's going to be it, right? That's what you're going to get.
A couple years, 5th-year option.
Maybe.
Yeah, possibly.
Maybe, depending on how much they like Tank Bigsby at that point, too.
Possibly,
right? Like,
sure.
What exactly the roles for these guys are going to be, but it is a weird time in the league that Etienne can have the kind of first year that he did on the field, and the team's reaction to it is we're going to add a 3rd-round pick into that we like.
And a guy in Dearness Johnson who has shown he can be. Now, granted, you look at the depth chart, and there wasn't much on there proven, right? So they needed to add some talent. But I feel like they've added 2 guys that potentially, we're banking a lot sight unseen on.
I'm
what
not
Tank
surprised
Bigsby
that they
can
did
do,
any of it. But it does speak to where the position is in the league right now that they do that. And it's like, well, yeah, they needed some help in that room, and we'll see what happens with Etienne going into the future. I don't expect him to be here for, the next 5 years. I expect him to be here for the next 2, and then we'll see.
And to be fair here to ESPN's piece, which obviously relies on Mike DeRocco's reporting, and he did a great training camp preview over at ESPN.com, which I encourage you all to check out the full thing on display this morning. He said the player with the most to prove is Josh Allen, right?
Okay.
The most impactful offseason addition, I don't think anybody would argue that it's Calvin Ridley.
Mhm.
Right? That makes a lot of sense.
Not technically an off-season addition, but
no,
yeah,
but
I get the point.
Right. So from where they were at the end of the year, who's available to play for him this year?
Yeah.
But he said training camp is a success if the offense picks up where it left off in 2022. And I think the bigger picture is if the offense is doing that, we expect the defense to not be top 3 in the league, right? And the offense is probably going to have to carry a little bit of an extra burden. And if they show that they're capable of doing that, that's why the focus is on the offense. Still, the bigger questions to me are on the defensive side of the ball right now. We've got a chance to go around the National Football League, so let's take it right now and see what's happening in other training camps.
Now, Gems Around the NFL, brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
Detroit Lions cornerback C.J. Gardner-Johnson was reportedly carted off the practice field this morning with a non-contact injury to his right leg. There's no official word yet on the severity of the injury he suffered, but non-contact usually indicates a serious injury, especially if you combine that with being carted off the field. So we'll see on that. Buffalo Bills running back Nyheim Hines has reportedly suffered a knee injury during a jet ski accident, is expected to miss the entire 2023 season. Chiefs wide receiver Kadarius Toney suffered what his head coach Andy Reid called a tweaked knee during a punt return drill on Sunday, which held him out for the rest of the day. Cleveland wide receiver Amari Cooper suffered a minor tweak in practice this weekend. Browns general manager Andrew Berry said that it was not related to his core muscle surgery this offseason. Kansas City Chiefs defensive tackle Chris Jones did not report for the start of the team's training camp and faces a mandatory fine of $50,000 for each day of camp that he misses under the CBA that was agreed to in 2020. Teams used to be able to waive those fines, but no longer can under the current CBA. Jones is seeking a contract extension as he enters the final year of his current deal that's set to pay him a base salary of $19.5 million this year. Jones, who turned 29 earlier this month, has made the Pro Bowl each of the last 4 seasons, was a first-team All-Pro for the first time this year, and given the dominance of Aaron Donald at the defensive tackle position, it's not only notable that Jones was a first-team All-Pro last year for the first time, but also that he had been a second-team All-Pro in 3 of the 4 seasons before that. He's reportedly looking for $30 million or more a year on whatever new deal he can get worked out. Las Vegas Raiders quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo has passed his physical and is expected to be worked into practice as he continues to work back from a foot injury that has kept him off the practice field for the Raiders throughout the entire offseason. James Palmer reported on Sunday that Denver Broncos running back Javonte Williams, who is returning from an ACL injury that he suffered in October, will not start training camp on the Broncos PUP list. The Baltimore Ravens have signed running back Melvin Gordon to a 1-year deal that could be worth up to $3.1 million. The Ravens also placed running back J.K. Dobbins on their PUP list to start training camp on Friday. The Tennessee Titans hosted offensive tackles George Fant and Chris Hubbard for workouts this weekend. And Los Angeles Chargers running back Austin Eckler organized a Zoom meeting over the weekend for a group of running backs from across the league to discuss the current market for them. Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, and Josh Jacobs all are reported to have participated in the call, but no major plans emerged from the meeting. Nick Chubb said on Sunday after participating in that meeting, quote, "Right now, there's really nothing we can do. We're kind of handcuffed with the situation where the only position that our production hurts us the most. If we go out there and run 2,000 yards with so many carries, the next year they're going to say, you're probably worn down. It's tough. It hurts us at the end of the day," end quote.
Yeah, first off, the Titans looking at offensive tackles because they know Smooter's back in town, right? And we better buck up in Nashville. Gripe session, whatever you want to call it for the running backs. I mean, what can you do? The system is what the system is. And I don't know, quite frankly, how much the NFLPA is going to be motivated to change it. It's like, the guys who get franchise tagged always complain about it. But the bottom line is, what do we have, 6 guys this year got franchise tagged? That's 6 out of 1,700 players, whatever number it is. It doesn't affect the rank and file.
Yeah.
It's not something that they're going to
It's hard to
push
convince,
to the limit on.
Yeah, it's hard to convince the guys that are, somewhere in that 48 to 90 range on an NFL roster this time of year.
Right,
that
they're getting
give up
paid
anything.
average of the top 5 at your position is a bad thing.
Right. Like, if you're not a starter, if you're just competing to hang on to a job in the NFL as long as you can, right, to convince them to give up something so that the franchise tag players can get more, like, it'd be like, my answer would be no. Like, you want me to give up what? How are you going to protect me? Right? Are you going to take care of me and my family over the whatever course of time it's going to be that you don't want us to play to make some kind of point? Like, it's just so much harder to do in the NFL than it has been historically in Major League Baseball or the NBA.
No doubt. Chris Jones wants $30 million a year. I mean, you'd say that's ridiculous. Well, Aaron Donald's got 3 years, $95.
Yeah.
That's so. I mean, that's Chris Jones probably, put it this way, in the conversation for the next best in the league. So what should the gap be? Not our problem. I'd say if I'm Chris Jones and Andy Reid was, he said surprised that he didn't show up. So as you said, they can't absolve these fines now, although if you give them a brand new deal, you can make up for it in the new deal. If I'm Chris Jones, I'm probably looking at like week 3 to come back, something like that. That seems reasonable, right?
Yeah.
Probably missed that heat in Duval County. You don't want that heat. You don't want that smoke either. Saw E.T. walk by the window here a moment ago. He'd probably challenge Chris Jones to something, although E.T. came down with a bad hamstring, bad hammy.
I heard, yeah.
He claims his racing days are over. I don't think that's the case at all. Once he's fully healed, he'll be challenging people.
I don't know what Chris Jones is going to wind up getting on whatever deal he wants to get done here, right? Like, I don't know how that whole thing's going to work out. But when Quinnen Williams signed that deal a couple weeks ago, and, he became the second highest paid defensive tackle in the NFL at $24 million a year. And then the gap from that to Aaron Donald is $7.5 million, right? Between the first and second highest paid on an average annual value basis right now. And I think if you are Chris Jones and you're looking at it saying, why would anybody in the league be being paid closer to what Aaron Donald is than me, right? And I'm entering the last year of my deal. I don't want to have to deal with franchise tag, all this stuff next year. I doubt the conversations just started about what this is going to look like for him. It's a different kind of situation because they can't repeal those fines, right? Which is why it's become much more typical in today's NFL that guys hold in. They report for camp and just find a reason not to practice, right? Like it's been the modern thing that NFL players do.
Now you got guys associated with the NFLPA basically coming right out and saying, show up and fake an injury.
Yeah.
That's
what it's become.
Hey, Saquon, go show up for training camp and fake an injury.
Don't deal with the
fines. Take the $10 million and basically don't play for it, which I definitely not down with.
No.
As well. Quinnen Williams seemed like he had just a ridiculous all-time season last year. There was the feel of it, right? And he definitely cashed in. And he had 12 sacks, which is massive for a defensive tackle, 35 solo tackles. And you look at Chris Jones, he's like, I had 15 and a half and 30. So, you had 5 more solo tackles than me. Who cares? I got 3.5 more sacks than you, and I'm still only 28 years old as well. That's the one thing. Quinnen Williams is a little bit younger than Chris Jones.
Yeah.
But
and Aaron Donald, who knows how much longer it's going to be. Maybe he finishes this deal. Maybe he doesn't.
Right.
This might be it for Aaron Donald this season. We'll see how that whole thing works out, but I don't think it's going to be beyond this contract that he's currently on with everything we've heard to this point with Aaron Donald. I think this is it. So, Jones, it's not illegitimate for him to say, I'm the best in the league right now.
Although, if you're Aaron Donald and they keep throwing $30 million at you,
it'd be tough to walk away.
You know what I mean? Like, I'll show up and I'll still make a massive impact.
We'll do this year by year.
It's
That's
a
fine.
question, right, on how long he wants to continue to beat up his body for a hell of a payday. By the way, I am here. I did not win the Mega Millions this weekend. All right, we'll come back and we'll take a look at your responses to the Chad and Sandy Real Estate question of the day, asking what are the 3 biggest questions you still have that remain for the Jaguars heading into training camp. So great responses today and a good variety of them as well. And we'll give you some of our thoughts on that when we return. Tony is back. That Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark's here. I'm Mike Dempsey. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Tire Outlet, inviting you to ride in style with a brand new set of tires from Tire Outlet, who offer the best selection, best quality, and best prices. That's important, so you're going to find the best tires for your vehicle. They've got over 40 years of experience and 14 locations around the First Coast alone. They're the brand you can trust, not only with your vehicle's tires, but Tire Outlet has great deals on all kinds of auto services and a legendary price match guarantee on new tires as well. Expert technicians ready to do the maintenance or repairs you need to keep your vehicle performing at its best. That's Tire Outlet, where you always get wholesale prices and premium service.
Jaguars Today Monday on 1010XL is brought to you by Ratify Credit Union, your neighborhood credit union.
Jaguars Today from the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Studios.
JOI, where the pros go.
This is Hayes Carline for Island Wing Company, located on South Side near Tinseltown, and our new location at Bartram Park in St. Johns County. 2 great locations offering the ultimate sports bar experience where you can stick to healthy options. Island Wing Company has a wide selection of fryer-free food. The wings are baked, not fried, with so many awesome flavors to choose from. You can also get delicious salmon, tuna, flatbreads, and tacos. With tons of spectacular TVs, dog-friendly patios, and 2 daily happy hours, Island Wings can't be beat.
He's St. Augustine's favorite son.
I've always admired diplomats.
And Jacksonville's favorite stepson.
It's the stories that you tell.
Joe Coward.
So much fun and imagination.
Noon to 3 weekdays.
It's not what it looks like.
On 1010XL.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about not being afraid of the crosses of life. Life can be difficult. Maybe today you're carrying a cross of worry or stress. Let me encourage you to remember that when Christ got on the big cross at Golgotha, he destroyed all the little crosses that we face in our life. He set us free from fear, worry, and anxiety. Our job is not to be carried by the cross, but to be carried by our faith.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
If you're looking for exterior solutions that provide you reliability and durability, it's time to call Armor Guard Exteriors. Whether you need seamless gutters or gutter protection, hurricane products, impact windows, glass lanais, or retractable awnings and screens, we've got you covered. Call My Home Team today for your 5-star experience at 904-906-8669.
Armor Guard Exteriors, committed to quality, and that's a promise.
He'll satisfy your hunger for a good football story.
I'm former Pro Bowl offensive lineman Leon Searcy. Listen for my stories doing Lunch with Leon.
Brought to you by the Sausage Dudes. Sausage with a purpose. Lunch with Leon. Weekdays on 1010XL.
You don't have to be a football star to get a signing bonus. The team at Republic Services needs your skills, and they're paying up to $5,000 for you to join the roster. You'll be joining a winner. As an essential business, the Republic Services trucks have not stopped rolling with hourly and weekly pay and better benefits and vacation packages than the rest of the league. Driver trainees, $1,000 sign-on bonus. CDL drivers, $3,000. Diesel mechanics, $5,000 bonus. Join the winning team at Republic Services today. Visit republicservices.com.
Equal opportunity employer.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwoods. Let's talk a little bit about guarantees and warranties and what they mean. I've heard you say that Underwoods guarantees the price paid on a diamond solitaire if you trade it in for a larger diamond later on, and that you give a 5-year warranty on a Rolex bought from Underwoods. Just how do you monitor all of that?
David, I think before you can talk about a guarantee or a warranty, you have to first look at a company's history of how they've treated customers in the past and how long they've been in business. Because a warranty or a guarantee is really nothing more than the word of a company. Their history and reputation will give you a good indication of how they stand behind their products. As far as how all this gets monitored, a lot of companies give you something in writing, and if you lose it, well, then you don't have a guarantee anymore. At Underwoods, we keep up with the price paid and the date of purchase, so if a customer loses their receipt, we've captured all the information and can retrieve it for them. I guess simply stated, at Underwoods, our guarantees and warranties are our word, and since 1928, that's been the most sacred thing we have to offer.
Underwood Jewelers.
Summertime is here, and it's time to cast those worries out. And Royal is here to help you do that with our Summer Termite Special, featuring Centricon. Starting at just $249. That's right, I said $249, and that's installed.
Visit RoyalPestServices.com.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
Look in
to purchase or refinance a home? Adam Pearsall of Premier Home and Finance is your local premier mortgage brokerage. With interest rates rising at a record pace over the last 16 months, finding a great rate and the right loan program has never been more important. Whether it's a VA, FHA, or conventional loan, get the premier mortgage experience with Adam Pearsall and Premier Home and Finance. PremierHomeAF.com. NMLS number 648848. Company NMLS number 2097658. Equal housing opportunity.
Did you know the new 2023 Honda Accord Hybrid has an onboard system that charges the battery so you never have to plug it in? When you think Honda, you think quality, value, safety. Now think hybrid. Visit your local Honda dealer and experience the car of tomorrow today.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Jaguars Today
on 1010XL. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, the Jaguars Today question of the day is presented daily by Chad and Sandy Real Estate. Multiple offers in your home in 3 days, or they'll sell it for free. You can visit them online at chadandsandy.com, spelled just like you'd expect it to. The question, what are the three biggest questions that you have about the 2023 Jacksonville Jaguars as they get set to start training camp? I will endeavor to at least give you part of that answer in the return of the 10-10 take.
10-10. This 10-10 take is brought to you by Batteries Plus. Power it, light it, fix it. 8 Jacksonville locations.
Batteries Plus, baby. I think that's your automobile, but you know what? I was walking around with the flashlight. I was taking a late night walk last night. My batteries were strong. So we're powered by Batteries Plus here on the 10-10 take. Tony, I think, look, we do assume that the offense is going to take a big step forward this year. And I really feel that if the key players stay healthy, and you can't anticipate not missing any games among your starters, but if Trevor Lawrence is healthy, if 2 of your 3 top receivers are healthy for the majority of the season, and we're not talking about the other guy missing 10 games, if Travis Etienne, who does give you that breakaway element that I don't know if the other ones give you, doesn't miss extended period of time, if they're relatively healthy compared to the average in the National Football League, this offense is going to put up big-time points this year. Wouldn't surprise me at all to see a top 5 offense in the National Football League.
No.
And I do think, even with questions on the offensive line, Ben Bartch, physically unable to perform, not shocking, but when you look at it, like Javonte Williams coming back from Denver, tore his ACL around the same time Bartch got hurt last year, and he's been cleared for training camp, which is a surprise for a lot of people. Actually had a more complicated knee injury than just an ACL tear, had multiple ligament issues going on there. So there is some concern about the shuffling on the offensive line, but I think Trevor Lawrence ultimately overcomes that with his ability, with his being in sync with the Doug Peterson offense in year 2, and that's something that can't be overlooked, how much better he's going to be simply with the comfortability factor, walking in the door, not learning everything from the ground up. I do understand why. My biggest questions strictly are going to be pass rush, secondary, and maybe how the offensive tackles hold up, right? But the biggest single thing that can benefit this team this year, although I don't think it's as much as a question as the others, is how much Trevor Lawrence can elevate that side of the ball. And you know what? If you're not getting the quarterback as consistently as you like, better to put your pass rushers in obvious pass rush situations. How do you do that? You play with leads in the second half. I mean, it's possible that this team takes a significant jump forward. They're up in the upper 20s in points scored a game, and you can continue to carry your defense, who's, to me, clearly between the two units, going to be the weaker of the two.
Yeah, you go back, they had the NFL Network was showing, all the teams' yearbooks, right? Throughout the day yesterday. And I know the Jaguars premiered last night, right? So I did watch the half hour. They titled it correctly. It was Always the Jags was the name of the half hour, right, for the Jags for last season. But you almost forget how remarkable a season it was, despite the fact that we all know it, right? That they had all the comebacks that they had. the second half of that year, that they did it against the Raiders, then they did it against the Cowboys, and they did it against the Ravens, and they did what they did in the playoff game against the Chargers. Teams just don't have those kind of games that pile up that way in a season. So they had a bunch of games where they were down 17 points or more and won, right? That's not typically what happens in the NFL, which speaks to the second half of the year, how strong the offense was, that they could believe enough that, you know what, we're down 17, we'll find a way, right? That they still had that belief on that side of the ball, which I think is the momentum you're talking about. You want to carry from one year to the next. That's it. It's that for the most part, the second half of the year, your offense gave you a chance. No matter what else was happening in a game, your offense gave you a chance, right? And the defense would make a big play late, a lot, for this football team and make something happen. But it is remarkable the kind of season they had. I don't think 2023 is going to look much like 2022 at all. I really don't. I think they're going to be much better early in games than they were last year, and much better early in the season than they were for the most part last year, where they had that lull after the first 4 weeks of the year, basically. Like, I don't expect this team is going to have that kind of thing happen to them. And you combine that with the opportunity to play with more leads, which I think they will create with the being year 2 in this offense, and whatever improvement you're going to get from guys just naturally going from year 1 to year 2 on defense, which I do think is a big story with Trayvon Walker and Devin Lloyd specifically. I think those are massive things to watch as we get into training camp, just how much better do those guys look.
Got a host of ideas here, and we'll go through a lot of these tomorrow on the program. I just wanted to mention some. Stoff said, will Doug call less trick plays this year? Will Trayvon have Aldon Smith level of production? Keep in mind, Trent Baalke took a shot on Aldon Smith. The difference being Aldon Smith, as a rookie, had 14 sacks. Yeah. So 11 and a half, Trayvon needs to make up. Aldon Smith in year 2 had 19 and a half. Whew. Like, yeah, I'm going to say no. He's not going to have Aldon Smith level of production. I'm pretty certain of that, as a matter of fact.
Give me year 3, 8.5. That'd be all right.
I'll take it, right? Can the wide receivers lessen the drops? From Scott, is Herndon good enough to be the nickel? Will Trayvon and Devin Lloyd make the second-year jump, as you mentioned? With Taylor gone, Robinson's 4-game suspension, Barch on the pup, rookie at right tackle. The O-line's a big question for me. Cristiano, will Trevor and Ridley be the hottest new duo in the NFL? Will Walker be the monster pass rush we need? Will Cisco be the star ball hawk many envisioned him to be? Code Blue, is the pass rush good enough? Lawrence's connection with Ridley, will Harrison look great at right tackle? Those are some at the top of a lot of people's minds. Who will be the starting left guard, asked Tom, following the Barch injury status? Will Lloyd and Walker make that leap? Will 16 exceed 5,000 yards passing? I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. Who will lead the D-line in sacks? Who will be Mr. Reliable with Marvin gone, Marvin Jones Jr.? With the current running back situation, will Etienne take less of a pounding? Will that result in being more explosive on a down-by-down basis? Got a lot of really, really good ones. Will they start faster? Will they play with more consistency? And what about the pass rush? Said Daniel. We'll go through, we'll kind of collate some of these for tomorrow and take them on a point-by-point basis. But Tony's back in the fold. That means football is back on the field sooner rather than later. And let's welcome in a former Jaguar and always a Jaguar to talk about it with XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill, brought to you by Tire Outlet. Keeping the rubber on the road with wholesale prices and premium service. Tire Outlet, Jacksonville's largest locally owned automotive repair shop.
Hello, Big Sirs. How are you?
What's going on, gentlemen? How you doing?
We're doing well. We're glad to have you on board. It's training camp week opening up. Let me ask you, other than the pass rush, take pass rush off the table, what is one, it doesn't have to be the most important thing, but what is one question you hope to have answered during training camp for the Jaguars that you're a little bit curious about right now?
That our bookends are a lock. That's protecting Trevor at all costs is my concern, especially when, you got Walker who's a little seasoned vet, especially down the stretch, and then you got Antoine Harrison, who's a rookie. I hope he develops into the player that hopefully he becomes when we picked him in the first round. And if we got the bookends on lock, I think I'll be a lot more comfortable going into this.
Yeah, I'm not as worried about the interior of the line, right? You got Sheriff, you got Fortner, you got two of those spots. I think Shatley can hold that down, and at least until Walker Little could enter the competition, theoretically, if Cam comes back and looks good. But Jeff Prosper brought up the point this morning. Are we just assuming that Anton Harrison's going to slide in there and not have any major issues, right? And granted, the guy was a highly touted prospect.
Absolutely.
Oklahoma's put a lot of good linemen into the National Football League. He looks the part. He's got the physical ability. He's still got to go out there and prove it, though.
He does. I mean, he's a rookie, and it's going to be vital. It's going to be contingent upon him to have success week in and week out, and it starts in training camp. I'm gonna be watching on his techniques, his fundamentals, because I don't care how good you are in college at the collegiate level. NFL is just a whole nother experience.
Yeah, you don't have to carry the offensive line. You can't be a liability.
Exactly.
Though, right?
Exactly.
You got a haircut, man. What's going on with your beard trim? Something you look fresh today.
Does
he not look sharp?
I put a little effort into it.
You
yes,
did,
absolutely.
like me, bro. I have not had a beard trim in months. Yeah, I look like a raggedy beast over here.
Listen, I tell you what, my sister is a master barber. Okay.
Does she want to come in tomorrow?
She'll come in. She'll tie you up,
Set up
bro.
in the parking lot. We'll do it.
Don't challenge me now. I'll call her.
I'm not challenging. I'll pay her.
Okay,
I need somebody to come in. So
she will get you tight.
Will she get? I need somebody.
I
to get
call
me
it
tight.
fresh to death.
You know, look. Ever since COVID, I got to make an appointment at my barber, which is fine, right? You know, it's just a different thing. And she's always busy all the time, you know, and like I want to be able to go when it's time to go, man. So we need to talk off there.
Yeah, my sister goes mobile. So
all right, you know, ET's probably going to be very angry that I'm even suggesting this, Tony, at this point in time. What do you got coming up on the program today, Leon?
What training camp?
Yeah, man.
We're going to talk training camp.
Right on.
We'll talk about the different scenarios of training camp. What do we expect? The expectations. We're going to talk about Ben Bartch's, on the pup list. How does that filter into what we're trying to do in training camp? And unfortunately, we're going to have to talk about Clay Brooks and the situation. With,
it stinks, right?
Yeah,
we don't know.
Absolutely.
Look, the first time around, the charges were dropped, right? So you do. It's still America. You have your right to your day in court, and the charges were dropped on that. This is, and I'm not excusing it, but when people hear domestic violence, they wonder what exactly does it entail. Apparently, there's video of this, and he grabbed a female around the torso, but the big thing is prevented her from leaving, which is like false imprisonment or whatever the technical charge is. Like, if you're a guy who's had any kind of issue, even though those charges were dropped, man, it's not worth it. Just, you know what? Live to discuss another day. Yeah,
absolutely.
So I hope for the best for him, but I hope whatever the case is, whatever the truth is, justice gets served, whatever that happens to be, man. So
True that.
Sirs, you handsome devil, have a good show today.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
We'll be talking to you throughout the week. Tony, welcome back. Good to have you back, man.
Thank you very much.
I feel less than complete without you here. So Jaguars Today, a much better program when Tony Smith is around. You didn't get the full strobe effect on the lights. These lights strobe.
Okay.
They have multiple colors. I did a
teal
lot
makes
of work.
the most sense. Yeah.
I wired the whole room with you in mind. So hopefully we'll get that full effect as we go on, and you'll be able to enjoy that on the I keep saying the Jaguars Today on the 1010XL. Should be the Jaguars Today YouTube channel. Should be our own exclusive channel. But hey, XL Primetime is coming up next. You can enjoy that video feed of the gang as they get you ready for training camp now. Less than 2 days away. Looking forward to seeing the new facility. Looking forward to seeing the team, and let's get through some injury-free practices and before we put the pads on next week. For Tony Smith, for Dylan Denmark, I'm Mike Dempsey. Thanks to John Ozier for joining us, efforting Hayes Carline for the program tomorrow, and more of your reaction as well, which is always appreciated out there. Jaguars Today Nation. That'll do it for us. So stick around. XL Primetime is next on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Yo, Jacksonville, let's go. 2 more.
Jaguars Today Monday is brought to you by Ratify Credit Union on 1010XL.
This is Jaguars Today from the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Studios.
JOI, where the pros go. Summer Sun. Get the summer feeling on Jacksonville's Summer Station. 1010XL. 1010XL.
When it's hot and you know it claps.